Welcome to your Monday. I'm J Cleveland Payne, aka your Mr. Monday, and this quick bit of motivation and inspiration was originally published on March the 14th, 2022. The original message goes as follows. You can find a way to buy a house that is not for sale, but you cannot buy a house that does not exist. A life plan must be viable with a destination, not just hopes you will find one. Now, going deeper into this one, let me first clarify that technically you can buy a house that does not exist. Buying a house or having someone build a house on a plot of land that you hopefully do own is buying a house that does not exist yet. But that's the abstract of this here. For the actual metaphor to work, you have to think of this as the destination literally as we put here. If there's no destination to go to, you can't buy that location to get to, or you can't get there. Here, the house itself must be there because you're looking for a house right now, not a house in the future, not a plan going forward. Buying a plan for a house to be built is a life plan with a viable destination. Buying a place to stay in a place that you're just going to drive up and show up at that has no place to stay is not a viable plan with a viable destination. So you can go to someone's house, knock on the door and say, I've got a bag full of money. Here it is. Please leave. And you see that in movies all the time. And you actually see that happen with people in real life in some cases where people really, really want a house for some reason. It's a house that's ancestral or it's something that they just really, really love and they're crazy rich and they want to try to get it from someone who will take it. And that happens in real life in some cases. But you're not going to find someone buying a house, showing up, knocking on someone's doorstep to a house that does not exist, to a place that's not there, to a destination that isn't going to be viable. So, you can make all the plans in the world to be somewhere, but if that final destination is not something you can actually get to, then it's not going to work out. You can want to go into space, and now that's more capable, more amenable, because we do have billionaires spending lots of money to make rocket ships that go more or less into space. But if you want to go to Mars, they're still working on that, and that's not going to be a viable option within most of our lifetimes, unless you're extremely young. So having that as a destination probably isn't going to fly, so you might need to find someplace else to shoot for. If you want to be the top singer in the world, that sounds great. You have to, 1, be able to sing. 2, have a band behind you that can go with you. 3, have marketing that's going to push you to that level. And 4, have an audience that really wants you to be the top level singer in the world and not want to pay attention to other people. All those things have to come into place, and the most important part of that is the singing part. And while you don't have to have the greatest, most excellent talent in the world, you have to be able to either carry a tune or be entertaining enough that your ability not to carry a tune gets lost in the fact of everybody else. Maybe you're a comedy act and that's what's going on. You have to have some sort of place to end up to call it a plan. You have to have some sort of target to shoot for to call it a plan. If you're just working your way towards something and hoping something happens, that's not a viable plan. That's just literally just wandering through life and roaming the earth and hoping something good happens. Hoping that somewhere along the line you'll get lucky and a break will fall and you can find some place where you can basically plant yourself and work forward. That doesn't happen very often. It happens if you're working towards something and then a detour happens and something different comes along and you plant yourself going. But that doesn't happen if you're just wandering aimlessly, because wandering aimlessly usually means walking in some sort of a crazy circle of fate that things never get off the ground. You never get going. You never push forward. You never learn. You never go forward. You never grow. You've got to know where you're going. You've got to have somewhere to go. It doesn't have to be any place spectacular. It just has to be somewhere. And that somewhere has to be someplace that's going to be viable to live in. If you're on a long destination, if you're trying to travel from East Coast to West Coast and you want to rest before your big show, you've got to have a hotel reservation to go to, or know a hotel where they have vacancies to get to, or know someplace, somebody renting a room for a couple days where you can get to. Because otherwise, you're sleeping in the car, you're sleeping in the airport terminal, you're sleeping on the street. That's not viable. All the things that happen in between the main thing are important. So those things have to be planned out to some level and have to be verified along the way. And everything does not have to be verified along the way. Sometimes not knowing exactly how you're going to make that thing happen is part of the journey and adventure. But you've got to have some way of figuring out how to get past it, because otherwise it turns not into a great story, but a tragic story that the ending may not be exactly how you'd like it to be. You can find a way to buy a house that is not for sale, but you cannot buy a house that does not exist. A life plan must be viable with a destination, not just hopes you will find one. This original message was published on March 14th, 2022 from Welcome to Your Monday. For more messages like this one, plus books, merchandise, and other information related to this project, visit the website, welcometoyourmonday.com.